Another so-called cancer cure is making headlines after a mother-son duo was arrested for selling theirs on the internet.
Feds say the mother and son duo made nearly $1 million with their toxic concoction.
Former arm wrestling world champ Jason Vale and his mother Barbara Vale are accused of selling apricot seeds as a cure for cancer through a website. Vale served 5 years in prison for marketing the products and was released in 2008. And now a federal complaint says from 2013 to September of this year, the Vales made more than $850,000 in sales through a PayPal account and sold a package including 3 pounds of the seeds for $259 plus nearly $30 in shipping. The FDA told us it could not comment on these arrests, but that this is not an approved product and that there is actually an import alert on it.
Joining us now to discuss is oncologist Dr. Lawrence Pirro. This is such an important topic because anyone who's dealing with cancer, they want desperately to think there's a cure out there. And there's so much momentum and energy. And before we even discuss this, there's even comments out there in groups when it comes to things like this, basically where everyone is encouraging others to take this vitamin. One comment reads, it can prevent and also cure cancer. My mom cured herself of cancer using apricot kernels. She didn't do chemo nor radiation. She's 66 years and still alive. You read a testimonial like that, Dr. Pirro, and you think if you're not doing it, you're doing a disservice to your loved one or yourself.
The thing you have to always keep in mind about people with cancer, or people with any illness for that matter, is they're vulnerable.
Yep. Yes.
It's a vulnerable population that we have to protect, because if you don't know how to analyze the information scientifically, you don't really know. I think this is a particularly good example of vulnerability. Do you know why? You want to hear the most shocking part of this drug? There is no vitamin B17.
Exactly.
It doesn't exist.
Exactly.
This isn't a vitamin. This is a chemical that breaks down in your body to cyanide. How could that be a vitamin? This compound, amygdalin, which some people have called B17, and it's not a B vitamin, it has been studied. There's very little evidence in animals that it has any anti-cancer effect, and there's no evidence in humans. And
but it can and does break down into cyanide.
Oh, yes. For example,
which is not good for you.
500 milligrams breaks down into 30 milligrams of cyanide.
Wow.
The minimum lethal dose of cyanide is 50 milligrams.
Mm-hmm. So you're close.
Right. The problem is, I think, since the advent of social media and the widespread access to information and the lack of editorial review of content, on the web, that people, the case report has escalated to an erroneous level of importance, right? Mm-hmm. My grandmother had this, I cured her. This fellow himself, he kept saying he's cured his cancer multiple times or treated his cancer successfully multiple times with this compound.
I do want to ask you before we move on to our next topic, cancer patients, family members of cancer patients are willing to try anything. But how can you make sure that A, something you're trying isn't fraudulent, but B, if there is something that may be of some benefit and you talk to your oncologist about it, how do you do that in a way? Because a lot of times your oncologist may not really know if this may or may not help. How do you broach that topic with your oncologist if this isn't something they're comfortable with discussing at all?
First and foremost, you absolutely must be transparent with your oncologist about everything you're doing, because there are drug interactions, even with Chinese herbs and other things, that may be important and detrimental interactions. So someone's got to know the whole universe of what you're doing. If your oncologist is uncomfortable or unwilling, then maybe it's not the right person for you if you're going to go down this journey and you want to use a lot of things. My general approach is anything that doesn't hurt and might help is okay. And so I do my best to figure out if it's safe. Nobody knows everything, and not all the combinations have been studied. So I do my best to figure out if it's safe. If it seems safe, I'm all for it, because even if it doesn't help chemically, the positive energy and the placebo effect and the feeling like you're part of the team and you're doing everything you can is an important part of healing, right? It's an important part of quality of life.
It's such a great point. So, the takeaway here is discuss anything you're putting in your body with your oncologist.